You know, they say the internet never forgets, and in the world of K-pop, that is an understatement. Sometimes one single clip, something years old, can just reappear out of nowhere and start an absolute firestorm between two of the biggest fan bases on the planet. So let's get into it. Let's break down what happened, why it's blowing up right now, and what it really tells us about modern fan culture.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? How can a video from all the way back in 2018 have so much power to divide people in 2025? It's a wild story, but it's also a really fascinating look into how fan culture, intense rivalries, and, of course, the internet's never-ending memory all collide.
All right, so section one, a clip resurfaces. So how did this whole thing even start? Well, like a lot of internet drama, it didn't just appear out of thin air. It started with something completely new, a recent announcement that basically acted like a match thrown on gasoline.
Okay, here's the spark. It's November 2025, and the news drops that BLACKPINK's Jennie is officially in the lineup for the Melon Music Awards. Now, that might not sound like earth-shattering news, but here's the kicker. This was going to be her first time at the MMAs in 7 years.
And that 7-year gap, that was everything. As soon as that announcement went public, the internet did its thing. Fans started digging, and boom. This one specific clip from Jennie's last appearance at that very same awards show in 2018 starts making the rounds, and it just explodes. We're talking millions of views, reigniting a debate that had been sleeping for 7 years.
So what's actually going on in this infamous clip? Honestly, it's a blink and you'll miss it moment. The members of BTS are walking back to their seats, and the camera pans across the audience where all the other idol groups are sitting. You can see most of them stand up and bow, which, is a huge sign of respect in the industry, especially for a senior group or a sunbae. But the clip clearly shows the members of BLACKPINK just staying in their seats. And that's it. That one single action, or inaction, is the entire reason for this massive fan war. Which brings us neatly to the first side of this argument. Let's talk about the case for disrespect. For a huge chunk of the internet, this wasn't just some accident. No, this was a serious, major breach of conduct. The accusations really have a few layers. First, there's the big cultural argument. In Korea, not standing for a senior group, a sunbae, is seen as deeply disrespectful. Full stop. Second, people were quick to point out that other younger groups have been absolutely torn apart online for doing way, way less. And finally, some people took it a step further, saying this was proof that they were bitter or even jealous of BTS's incredible success at that time. This comment you see online really nails the core of that argument. They wrote, "Not that they should stand up, but from their culture, this shit matters. Didn't Ivy Girl get crazy dragged for this same issue before?" So you can see they're highlighting that this isn't just about general politeness, it's a specific cultural expectation. And by bringing up another group, IV, they're suggesting that if BLACKPINK gets a pass, it's a total double standard. And then you have comments like this one, which just gets straight to the point. "Thanks for proving that BLACKPINK has been bitter about BTS success since day one." For this person, and a lot of others, this isn't about etiquette at all anymore. It's Exhibit A in a long-standing rivalry. It reframes the whole thing from a possible mistake into a deliberate act of professional jealousy. But, of course, that is only one side of the story. For every person who was absolutely furious, there was someone else basically saying, "Can everyone please calm down?" Let's talk about the not that deep defense. The defense pretty much has 4 main pillars. The biggest and most obvious one is, hello, this clip is 7 years old. Defenders are just baffled that anyone is still mad about this. They see it as a classic fan war tactic, rival fans digging up an old clip just to stir up drama and attack artists they don't like. And then some fans took a totally different approach, reframing the whole thing not as disrespect, but as, well, a power move. This comment perfectly captures that feeling of just pure exhaustion with the drama. It's been 7 years and they're still mad, with the crying emoji. You can just feel the eye roll. For them, holding a grudge over something so small and so old is just ridiculous. It completely dismisses the whole controversy based on the timeline alone. And this one shows that completely different interpretation I mentioned. I mean, queens ain't bowing to no one. See, this isn't an apology or an excuse. It's a total reframing. This fan sees them not standing up as a sign of confidence, of status. In their eyes, BLACKPINK are queens on an equal level, and they don't need to bow to anyone. So we've got 2 completely opposite takes on the exact same 2 seconds of video. Which leads to the most important question of all. Why does a 7-year-old clip still have the power to create such a massive fight today? When you look at the arguments side by side like this, the conflict is crystal clear. One side is saying this was a disrespectful act that breaks cultural norms and shows jealousy. The other side is saying this is a 7-year-old clip that's not a big deal and is just a manufactured controversy. There is absolutely no middle ground here. They're watching the same video, but seeing completely different worlds. And that's because, really, this debate isn't about what actually happened in 2018. It's become a proxy war. This clip is now just a symbol, a battlefield for all the intense loyalty, the fierce rivalries, and the clashing stories that define these massive online fandoms. It's less about 2018 and so much more about fans trying to prove their group's status in 2025.
So, what can we take away from this whole thing? I think it really boils down to three powerful forces at play. First, the incredible, almost scary power of fan rivalries to completely shape a narrative. Second, how cultural context can be twisted, used as a weapon when it suits an argument, and totally ignored when it doesn't. And third, maybe the most important takeaway of all, the internet has an infinite memory. Nothing is ever gone for good, and anything can be brought back to start a fight.
And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. In this world that we live in, this hyper-documented age where every single move is recorded and archived forever, are artists and public figures ever actually allowed to move on from their past? The 7-year-old clip and the chaos it's causing suggests that, for better or for worse, the answer might just be no.